Great, yes, thank you, Tara, for turning your video on. So I'm very excited to talk to you guys about this program. I have been working on this for a long time. As some of you know, that I've been writing my book uh, that is around this topic of how women can take more control of their lives and, you know, um, live more on our own terms. And I've interviewed several women from across different segments of society with different, very interesting viewpoints. And I have learned a lot from them. So this program has been in the making for a very long time. And I thought, what better than to talk to my community about this to begin with, and see what you guys have to say about it. And then maybe I'll take it to a broader market. But thank you so much for letting me share this journey. So as you know, it's let me just also share my screen. One second. Okay. If you can see my screen, just give a thumbs up. You can use the reactions tab below, or you can use the chat window to let me know if you can see my screen. No? Okay, awesome. Some people can see it. Brilliant. There's still more people in the waiting room. Let me just get them in. Um, this is very strange, but I'm not able to let them in. Okay, good. Got it. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is definitely talk about what the program is, but before that, I wanted to take you through the things that I have read, experienced, understood, had conversations about, and I also want to see how much, you know, this approach resonates with all of you who are on the call today, right? And do you find that this will be something that's going to help you live more, you know, life that's more in alignment with who you are and who you want to be, right? So I'm going to take you through a little bit of context, a little bit of Q&A, and you can tell me what you think about it. You won't be able to unmute yourself. So if you want to ask a question at any point in time, put it in the chat window, or you can raise your hand and I will unmute you, right? So to begin with, first question. I want to do a quick check-in, and this is something I want to do so that all of us are on the same page before we dive in. So it's a weekday. I'm sure all of us have had a long day as well. So what is that one word for how you feel today? If you can just drop it in the chat window. Um, I just want to see, get a sense of how we're all feeling. Like for me, it is that's my word. Ew. Exhausted, drained, dependent, okay, tired. Oh, this was me yesterday, okay? I was very dejected yesterday, but let's move to excited today because I'm here talking to you guys. Okay, I see a lot of exhaustion. Oh my God. Cool. A few of you are excited. Good to know that. Awesome. Great. What we do, and this is what I did yesterday, so I'm sure it's going to help you as well, is we're just going to breathe. Okay. And that typically is the solution for almost everything. I wrote a whole book about it. Where is that book? Is it around? No. Uh, it was for a client, but literally the whole book, the solution to every problem in life was breathe. So we're going to do that today, and I'll request you if you guys can just maybe close your eyes for a little bit and take 3 deep breaths, okay? So humor me, okay? Close your eyes because you're all tired, exhausted. drained, and breathe in. And one more time. Breathe in and out. And one last time. Breathe in and okay. So thank you for doing this. You can open your eyes now. So one more question, because I want to make it interactive. What is your biggest challenge right now? What do you think you're struggling with the most? And actually, let me put this out as a poll so you can actually answer it there and we can quickly get a sense of where we all are, right? Can you see the poll on the screen? Yes. So there is one question. What's your biggest challenge right now? Um, Sometimes you feel like we're juggling a lot and some balls keep getting dropped. Sometimes you're overwhelmed with the mental load. Like we do so much that just goes unacknowledged, and we have scripts and lists running in our head. Sometimes we're unsure, like how do you prioritize yourself without feeling guilty, right? Like the parents, the child, the dogs, the spouse, they all come first, and your work comes first. Or sometimes you just feel stuck, right? Because you don't know where to go next, or how that change is going to be like. So here's what our group looks like. I think the biggest challenge is that most of us are feeling stuck because of self-doubt and fear of change. And then the next biggest thing is, that we're juggling a lot. I think that's very um, a fair and accurate assessment of what most women end up feeling. And I know uh, some of you are dropping it in the chat window that I wish I could select all of those options. And it happens to everybody. So I'm just sharing my screen again. So I'm a data-driven person, okay? I love to do research. I want to see that, how feelings connect to, what is the real world data out there. And this is what I found from very credible sources, right? That majority of women are feeling drained in some way, and 42 of them have reported feeling burnt out. And when it comes to reporting numbers, whatever is reported, you can assume that it is definitely more than what is actually there out in the official figures, right? So if 42% are actually saying that they're burnt out, this number is way higher in real life, right? And we also carry a lot of emotional labor. And studies show that we work extra 5 hours per week, which I feel again is very less. I think we do a lot more than that. But we have 60% more invisible responsibilities. And when I say invisible responsibilities, I was having a chat with this friend of mine. She's a very successful entrepreneur. Her husband is a CEO of a large corporation. Okay. They were traveling. Guess who was figuring out what is going to happen to the kids, when the maid is going to show up, who's going to turn off the newspaper and the milk subscription? Any guesses? Of course, the woman, right? And that it feels like, so what? It's just like one click of a button now. You can do a lot of these things, but it adds to the emotional labor that we do, right? And what does the guy have to do? Just throw two clothes in his suitcase and walk out. And that's why we feel drained, right? All of us are exhausted and drained. We saw that in the chat window. And obviously, that correlates to this happiness decline, right? That more and more women are reporting unhappiness. It's dropped by over 20%, which is a significant drop, considering nowadays women are more empowered, right? So the question remains, why is this happening? And another factor that plays a big role, and I think a lot of us chose this as well, right? This was our first choice, that we struggle. 82% of women struggle with imposter syndrome. We just feel like we're not good enough. We're not. And I was at a panel a couple of months ago, and we were talking about careers, and this topic came up there as well, that women don't apply to jobs unless they feel 110% qualified. Whereas men, if they find one or two things that resonate, they just go ahead and apply because they're so confident in themselves. So self-doubt, and recently also, like I've met a lot of new women colleagues, and I moved to a new society, so I met a lot of new women here as well. And the conversations are always that they're stuck in a place because they are not sure whether they're capable enough to move forward. And if you look at their resume without the name on it, you'll say, oh, wow, these are fantastic people. But then they're still stuck in that self-doubt, right? So I feel a lot of these things are sort of holding us back, right? Um, so my question to you is, where do you feel most stuck right now? Just take a bit, maybe 30 seconds to introspect on which part of your life, and it could be beyond these four as well, right? I've just picked up the four major ones: career, relationships, health and well-being, or finances. Where do you feel the most stuck? And why? Okay. And you can either jot it down for your own reference, or you can put it in the chat, which I would love, because um, that would make it more interactive. So I'll give you that minute. Okay, career, health and well-being, and financials. Okay, career, relationships, and financials. Mix of 1, 3, and 4. Career and financials. Health for sure. I always deprioritize health. I'm also there. Okay, but I have now made some strides. But yes, health is my uh, I don't know, kryptonite. Okay, career and financials, career, health and well-being and financials. So career seems to be one of the, more dominant themes, and financials in today's discussion. And obviously these two things are related, right? If we don't do well in our career, the financials obviously suffer. And we actually had a very good discussion yesterday also about it, right? Financial well-being. So we will dive deeper into it, obviously, in the program, but it's good to know that these are the things that are, where we are facing challenges, and how do we address it, right? Because each of these things, while they have certain parameters, I think the focus shifts depending on where the challenge is and why the challenge is happening, right? Now, obviously, the question is also why, right? You've identified the areas, which areas, but I think finding out the why is a little more difficult. Yeah. So I'll give you another question to think about, and we'll come to the why in some time as well, right? If you could, in this area that you've identified, right? What if whatever is happening, if you could do it differently, right? Where you're feeling stuck, what if it was your ideal situation? Then what would your life look like? So close your eyes and think about it. Okay, don't look at me, just close your eyes, think about, if you're stuck in this place, be it your career, relationships, health, well-being, financials, if there was an ideal situation, what would it look like? And what would you do differently to make it that way? If you've thought about it, feel free to type it in the chat window. Or if you want to share, let me know, raise your hand, and I will unmute you. Anyone wants to share? Just raise your hand then. If you don't want to share online, you can share it in the chat window. Otherwise, we will. Someone is saying, I have a language problem. That's okay. You can share it in your own language. And Pavneet is saying, I'll be content. I would understand my priorities better. So, cool. Okay, so I will leave this to you to think through because now you, at least we have started questioning, right? Um, okay, Aditi is saying, I think as women, we also have the do-it-all syndrome. I feel like I need to do everything, but all I want is to sleep well, read more. I'll come to that as well. I think I'd be happy if I get where I want in my career. Cool. Um, Great. So, in the program, of course, we'll do much deeper visualization. Okay, I just asked you to close your eyes and think about what your life would look like. But typically, what happens is when we do this, right, when you close your eyes, you really have to think through how you're living that life, right? So, for example, if I want, when I close my eyes and I think about what my life looks like, it is me going on vacations with my son, playing with him, speaking at key events, meeting new people, making new friends, right? And that's what my ideal life looks like to me when I close my eyes and do this exercise, right? Now, everything, and of course, to do all of this, I am in a great shape in terms of health and physical well-being. I am feeling content, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling peaceful with the life that I have, right? So the visualization needs to go that much deeper into what you need your life to look like, and then the answers to how do I do that, what do I do differently, comes from there, because now you know what it looks like. So going there, defining the steps becomes a little bit more easier. Okay. um Okay, someone also says, I want to have freedom in career, financial freedom, and more time for health and well-being. Well, then we'll figure out how to make more time. All that. I'm glad that you're sharing these things because all these things are going to be part of the program. Okay. So another quick poll. What is holding you back? Okay. I'm going to launch the poll and you can share your thoughts with me there. 1 second. Um, can you see the poll? You'll have to answer quickly because it'll end. So what's holding you back? Lack of clarity, overwhelm, need for perfection, resignation to circumstances, or guilt. And what do I mean by that, right? Like if you feel that I want to do well in my career, but I don't have the support, or what do I want to do? If that's not clear, then I'm stuck, right? Overwhelm is when, like we all said, we're exhausted, we're tired, we have so much to do. So there's no time to make time for what we want to do, right? The need for perfection, which Aditi also talked about, that you have to do everything, or resignation to circumstances, like this is how it is, or guilt, like I'm not going to go on that work trip because, what will my son do without me? So what are these things that are holding you back? Okay, 2 more seconds left. Quickly, if you have not answered. Done? Okay. So this is what it looks like. Most of us are struggling, like are being held back because of our need for perfection, which again ties back to the imposter syndrome that unless I do it perfectly, it is not going to be good enough. And then, people will think I don't know anything. And of course, lack of clarity and support is a challenge too, right? I see two more, like on equal footing is overwhelm and resignation to circumstances. And I'm very pleasantly surprised that guilt is not one of the factors that is holding you back, which is actually very, very good. I'm, like I said, pleasantly surprised by this. Cool. So, in the discussions that I had with all of these women that I've been speaking to that come from a, variety of circumstances in life, I found a couple of things, right? That there are some beliefs that we live with that either have been conditioned into us or we've just picked them up from wherever, um, that are holding us back. And I'm going to talk you through four beliefs, and you can tell me whether you agree with them or not, right? So the first belief I feel, and it happens to me also sometimes, right? Um, if I say no, I'll let people down. Have any of you felt this? Just type like a yes or a Y in the chat window. If I say no, I'll let people down. Okay. I can see a yes, sometimes a no, a yes. Wow, good. I like seeing the no's here. Cool. Okay, so I'll show you how it looks like in work, our typical uh, life, and see if sometimes these situations pop up for you and how you end up looking at them, right? So I was just talking to someone who is a very successful coach. And yesterday she said, because this is a holiday season, all of her friends have landed up from different places. And she's so tired and burnt out because she cannot say no to meeting up, right? Like it's her job in life to tell other people what to do with their life, but she's also struggling, right? Because we all struggle at some points. None of us is perfect, right? So it's always going to be an up and down roller coaster kind of a thing. So I'm taking a friend's example first because this just happened yesterday, this conversation that, friend wants to meet up, but you're really drained after a long week. But, instead of taking that time out for yourself, you push yourself to go because you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself, right? Or you've had a stressful week, you want to take that Saturday off, but a friend needs help with something, and then you're just like, okay, fine, I will show up, right? Or family, I think this is where the most difficulty happens, right? That people expect you to do certain things, and now whether you are in the mood for it, in the energy for it or not, you end up saying yes, right? It could be like hosting a family gathering or, you know, doing a trip or just doing the chores in the house, right? Um, it's very difficult to get out of those without coming across like, she doesn't care, because that's the label that just gets associated with, she's not doing it because she just can't be bothered to care. It's okay, I guess, sometimes. Um, and at work, which I think most people are able to say no in a work situation more because emotions and personal relationships are not so involved, right? But still, because sometimes we're also scared at work, right? It's like, oh, if I piss off my boss, then what's going to happen to me? So you are juggling multiple projects, but manager says, okay, take one more task, and then you take it on because you don't want to come across as slacking off. And especially as women, we work late, we do double the task just to be seen on par with our male colleagues. And so saying no feels like, oh, because she has personal priorities, she can't take on, and therefore let's not promote her, or maybe she's not fit for a leadership role. And we're constantly battling that, ingrained bias. Um, and this is where saying no becomes difficult, right? These could be small, little things. And I'll just tell you sometimes how little it is. The other days, I've just moved homes a couple of months ago, and one of my neighbors texted me saying that the person who's moved into the new house wants my number to talk about something, right? Now, typically, it's a very simple request. I would have said yes. But I was so busy doing so many things that I just did not feel like taking on this additional task. This is the person I don't even know. I have no accountability towards. I'm not responsible for anything. If they want something, they can always reach out to the landlord, right? Why do they need to reach out to me? But it took me 5 minutes of thinking about it to really text her back saying, no, please don't share my number. I don't want to have a conversation. And trust me, I actually breathed a sigh of relief that I said no. Yeah. And it might seem like it's a minor task, But when you do that inventory, it just adds up. Okay. So I'm glad a lot of you are not having issues saying no, but think through these situations and see where is this uh, exhaustion and overwhelm coming from, right? The second belief is I have to do it all to be valued, or that perfection kind of a thing, or I need to be everywhere with everyone. Um, Anyone felt that? Aditi saying, I say yes to friends' plans a few weeks in advance and then I hate myself for agreeing. Oh, I have to say this, okay? This example. So my word for the new year is no. Okay. Everybody keeps saying say yes to life. I'm gonna say no to it. Because very recently I was called to speak at an event happening in Chennai. Okay. But for the travel and stay, I had to pay some 47,000 because it was a 3-day hotel booking and the meals and everything was included. And I booked it, a double room because I was taking my son along. So I paid 47,000 for it. It's a good event, big event. Hundreds of women leaders show up there. I did not want to go. So it event was on 6th of December. Till 5th, I was like, should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I not go? And then finally I said, I'm not coming. Okay. And I was so happy after that. I was like, even after paying that money, it really hurt to pay that money and not show up. But then I really had to weigh my opportunity costs or sunk costs against it and say, do I really want to drive down all the way to Chennai in the middle of all this cyclone thingy that's happening? Take a cranky 6-year-old with me, and then, shuttle between attending the conference and, entertaining him. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. So if I had said no earlier on when they asked me to come and speak, when I knew that there is, taking a flight to Chennai from Bangalore doesn't make sense at all, and I would never have driven down. So I should have said no there. But because I didn't, I ended up losing my peace of mind and two, a lot of money. So yeah, I guess life. But I have learned my lesson. My word is no. Second is I have to do it all to be valued. And this is how I feel it shows up in life, right? Um, that you're trying to do the best at your job, you're, attending every networking event, learning a new skill, striving for perfection, and then, that doesn't give you any room to breathe. And I know so many women who are struggling to do the same thing, right? They don't even have time to meet friends, even call up their parents, spend time with their children. I have a friend who's considering her work is so hectic that she has to travel a lot. So she's considering taking 4 day like a one room apartment somewhere close to her workplace and staying there for 4 days and only going home for 3 days of the week. And I don't know how sustainable that's going to be, right? Um, Similarly, right, in parenting, I have seen my mother do this a lot, right? She was working a full-time job, still she insisted, and she took pride in the fact that we always went to school with homemade lunch boxes. She drove us to our dance classes and our swimming classes and whatever that is. But she was tired and angry all the time, right? Because she was so exhausted. And I won't blame her, but it was not a very friendly parent and child time. We would be okay taking ketchup and bread sometimes to school if that meant we were being sent off with some kisses, right? So if you're trying to be 100% everywhere, that's not going to turn out well for anyone, right? Similarly, in home situations, right? And I'm sure a lot of us also relate to this, right? That we are the ones planning birthday parties, family gatherings, managing the budget, ensuring everybody like has a lunchbox to take to, their clothes are set, their whatever their schedules are running on time. And you feel like it's your responsibility to do it because who else? Like earlier we saw in the chat, obviously it's the woman who ends up doing this, right? Because we just don't want to say no, I can't do it, because then those labels come in again, right? She's a bad wife, she's a bad mother, she's a bad sister, or whatever that is. So we're stuck. Third one is I will do what I want to do when things are more settled. Anyone who's felt this? Maybe later. I can see a few hands going up. Yeah. Okay. This might get a lot of yeses, right? Yes. But are things ever settled? Aditi is like, I'll say yes to all your questions today. But this is the point, right? Things are never settled. When are they settled? You settle one thing, something else happens. Uh, and this is how it shows up, right? For your health, for your well-being, for your dreams. Where, for example, you want to start a fitness routine, you want to eat healthier, but your kids have exams, you have some travel plans, you have this, that. So it'll happen some other time, right? Or even doctor's appointments, right? There's something or the other that is more urgent, and so it always gets pushed to next week. Or you want to take up a course, you want to invest in your self-care, you just there is this better time that has to come for all that to happen, right? Or even if you want to take a small trip with your friends, hang out or do something, somebody or the other always shows up with something that you have to do. When I saying I spent 12 years waiting for things to settle. Yeah, because they never do. And the more I feel the more you give of yourself and your time, um, the more people ask because it just becomes an expectation, right? I'm sure that last one, so definitely you want to start a side project, you want to learn a skill, you want to pursue a passion, but there is so much on your plate. Everybody else demands your time, your energy, your effort that you don't have time to do this, right? So kids are always like, kids have to be older, work has to slow down, parents have to feel better, in-laws have to do something. I don't know, husband has to earn more, whatever that is. But your dreams are sort of on a pause because things are not settled yet. And finally, the fourth belief I feel some of us succumb to is this is just the way things are, right? Because you don't want to, like, that's all you were ever known. That's what you were told. This is how it happens. So you just go along because fighting it is just too time consuming, too energy consuming, too draining, right? And this is how it shows up in your relationships, career, and life, right? Like you accepted the emotional labor, like planning dates, remembering birthdays, managing household tasks. It's your job. But like who decided that? Did you consciously take a call, I'm going to do it, or just because everybody dumped it on you when you entered that household, you know? Um, and again, this one, I also went through it, right? Your family wants you to think and act a certain way. And even when you don't agree with that, you feel it's just not worth the drama, right? You let it go because that's how things are done. In your career, sometimes you're stuck in a role that doesn't excite you anymore. You don't want to do it, but that self-doubt also kicks in and you're like, it's okay. That's how work is. I just have to come here, show up, and it gives me a salary. I'm grateful that I have a job. And similarly, when you get extra work, right? Um, Even though it's outside of your responsibilities, and this is so much more in India, you're expected to stay out of the office hours, you're expected to work weekends, you're expected to take those late night calls, you're expected to do extra work that's not a part of your responsibilities. But it's like, okay, everybody does it, right? So that's how career is. And in life, we're like, okay, even if days are hard, routine sucks, um, that's what adulthood is. But does it have to be that way, right? Um, and sometimes we feel, right, that it's your day is just managing work, handling family responsibilities, just this whole daily grind, wake up, do the same thing, repeat, wake up, do the same thing, go to bed, all that. And you feel that life is supposed to be hard. And I think at some level, we've all felt that at some point in time. But this is what it leaves us with, right? Um, yeah, some of us have made peace with it. Some of us feel that responsibilities and expectations increase every day, right? And because of it, one, we are left with anger and resentment for the sacrifices we've made, right? We turn into these bitter old women. Um, And at some point, as you grow older, I've noticed that you also start expecting things from people, that because I have done this for you, you will do something for me. But that never happens, right? Because nobody's holding themselves to the same standard. So that anger and resentment just keeps building up, and then at some point in time it explodes, right? Second is, of course, is unhappiness, because um, you're not able to live the life that you want to live. I mean, maybe not in all the spheres of life, but somewhere, right? So that unhappiness sort of rankles at some point, right? And of course, there's burnout and exhaustion, because you're handling too much. You're handling way more than anyone else is. And finally, there is dejection and boredom with the daily grind. Like, is this all I'm supposed to do, right? Um, and those are not good things to live with. Has anyone felt any of these things? One, two, three, four. Just let me know in the chat window. All of it, all of them. Yeah. Yes. But at somewhere I feel, yeah, so a lot of yeses and all of them coming in, right? Yeah, sometimes. So I'm going to tell you how this affected my life, because, like I said, no one is perfect. I lived with a lot of this for a very long time. Okay. From the day I was born, literally. Um, so I was born in a very conflicted family. My father was abusive, and my father and mother had a love marriage, though in the same like Jain community, but nobody was happy about it. And then he was abusive, right? So when I was 5 or 6, my mother walked out. And that time divorce was like unheard of. Okay. So no one was ready to support us, because they were like, she's a characterless woman, she has two girls, they have no future, blah, blah, blah. So then my mom decided, because her life was screwed up because of situations, we will not face similar, you know, this will not happen to us. So from an early age, we got a lot of conditioning that you have to toe the line. Okay. You have to do so. So my mom's belief became, because I stepped out of line from what society expected of me, therefore all these bad things happened to me. So she said, you guys will never step a toe out of line. You will do what society expects you to do. And trust me, a very conservative Marwari Jain society doesn't expect much of women. Okay. You have to grow up pretty, you get married, you have children, you manage the household. That's pretty much what you need to do. Okay. But my mom also realized that, being kids of a divorced mother, there are not many options open to us. Like, not no good boy will get married to us. So we needed to also have a career to support ourselves if all else failed, right? I've always been very creatively oriented. Okay, I like aesthetics. I like clothes and all these things, right? So I wanted to become a fashion designer, but that's not a very approved career. Okay. So mom said, to either become a engineer or you become a doctor. That's pretty much the option you have. So despite desperately wanting to become a fashion designer, I became an engineer. Okay. I hated it, did not like it at all. Then but I think there was some, I don't know, serendipity or whatever. I met my would-be husband in my engineering college, but he was Konkani. Um, so we wasted 10 years, you know, trying to um, get everybody in agreement that, okay, these two can get married. So I waited 10 years to marry him. I ultimately ended up marrying him because, I was out of the market by then. Uh, at 28, nobody is marrying a Marwari girl. So, so I waited 10 years, which I think was a mega waste, because I don't know if all of you know, but my husband passed away in 2015, right? So I was only married to him for 4.5 years, which could have been 10, I mean, after finishing my engineering, I could have, like 4 years of engineering, if you minus, I could have been married to him for 10. But because I wanted to like get the approvals and all of that, we didn't really get to spend as much time together. And then I slogged for 8 years in corporate India to conform to someone else's idea of success. Because what is it, right? You need to have a big salary package, you need to have a house, you need to have a car. Those are success parameters in life, right? And we missed out on living a good life because we were such workaholics. Like 2 o'clock at night, I would wake up and answer emails. Okay. Um, and that's not what I wanted my life to be, right? There's like so much to life beyond work. Um, but then we finally took the plunge. I decided to break free. A lot of things happened in succession, some good, some bad. But my life definitely changed, and in some ways for the better, right? So when I decided to reclaim my life and say, I don't care what you people want, this is what I want. And when I took conscious steps to get to it, I quit my job. Everybody freaked out, but I wanted to start a business. So I started a business and I became a very successful entrepreneur, right? I also, from entrepreneurs, also, there is this expectation, right? That you will work 24/7. Burnout is like this badge. I now work 6 hours a day for 4 days a week. And I make a lot more money than I would have in a corporate job. And I've said a no to a lot of projects that haven't fit this criteria of mine. It's my criteria. If they don't fit it, they're like free to take their business elsewhere. But I feel this aligns better with what I do want to do with my life outside of work, right? And even after my husband passed away, we were in the middle of an IVF cycle. And I decided that I'll have the baby anyway, right? And everybody, including his mother, said, don't do it because, you know, single woman, husband has passed away. Where is the baby coming from, right? So much taboo, so many issues. Yeah. So everybody told me, don't do it. But I did. My son was born 3 years after his father passed away. And I held him for the first time on the day his father passed away, right? So he's my little miracle, and it's the best decision I've ever made, which I would not have made if I had listened to what other people had to say about it. So, so there's been like a lot of ups, lots of downs, lots of things in life. And I've learned these few things from it, right? I've learned how to say no to things that don't serve me. I'm being very selfish about it because everybody else is also very selfish, right? And I'm saying yes to things that do matter to me, that do serve me, right? I have learned how to protect my energy. Trust me, there are so many people who are just sucking out your energy without you even knowing it, right? Being in their presence is exhausting. Okay. Um, so I protect my energy both in terms of like not wasting it on things and even people who don't deserve it, right? So I'm very, very um ferocious about it. That no, you're not wasting my time, you're not wasting my energy, right? I also learned how to believe in myself, but even when no one else did, because those have been some of the best decisions of my life, right? Quitting my job, having my baby, figuring out this whole, work less, even if you're earning little less than other entrepreneurs, that's fine, right? So I've learned how to believe in myself, even when no one else did. And I've learned how to bounce back from setbacks, right? And there have been so many setbacks, right? Like divorced parents, married into a different culture, so many random expectations, quit my job, my husband passed away, whatever. So it's not that I've had a charmed life, but I've figured out how to, I bounce back from it every time and bounce back stronger, not, like, oh my God, this happened to me and my life sucks kind of way, but something that um something positive that I build out of it, right? And most importantly, I've learned how to identify my people, people who are there to support me, who are there to cheer for me. And they're few and far between, but they are really, really important in how my life is shaping up, right? And I ignore those who don't. Okay. No matter how relatively they are close, like in terms of families or people, degrees of how well you know them, if they don't, if they are not rejoicing in my success or supporting whatever I'm doing, then I don't have time for them. I ignore them. I'm not rude to them, but I'm just like, sorry, keep your opinion to yourself. Let me live my life. But these are my lessons. And yeah, what I've done is try to fit it all in into 8 weeks, which I'm calling Reclaim and Redesign. And I'm just going to tell you what this program covers because ultimately it is the launch webinar for this program. So this is what I want to talk about, right? A little bit of each of these has helped me figure out my life. And I'm hoping that if you decide to join this program, some of it will help you too. Because one thing that I believe very strongly is that there is no cookie cutter solution to our lives, right? All of us have different lives, different problems, different strengths, different weaknesses. Okay. So I can't say, okay, do these 5 things and you'll have an amazing life. I cannot say it. Right. So in this program, also, I'm not going to tell you do this. It is going to be a lot of introspection in terms of who you are, what you want to be, where do you want to go. Right. And like I keep telling people that we have one life. Okay, and some 50 good years in that life because by 20 we're just figuring out education and parents and whatever, right? We don't have that standing on our own feet figured out yet. And by 70, honestly, bones are creaking, backs are aching, so there's not much that you can do beyond that also. So between 20 and 70 are your prime years to do what you want, right? And when I say do what you want and make an impact, it's not about making those big, huge changes to the world, right? It's just about living a good life for yourself. And I think we're allowed to be that selfish, right? Like a lot of people believe in rebirth, but when I'm reborn, I'm not going to remember this life, right? So, as me, this is the only life that I have. And do I really want to live it in a way that's not making me, I'm not even going to say happy because happiness is just an oversold concept, but at peace, right? When I feel that, you know, yes, this is worth doing for myself and for other people also. Why not, right? We live in a community, we live in an ecosystem. We want to be a part of that, but not at the cost of ourselves, right? So what I want to talk about in this program is, and these are going to be difficult questions for yourself, right? Because I've realized most of us never even think about it, right? What do I want is probably the last question. Okay. So in these 8 weeks, we're going to ask a lot of those difficult questions and figure out what really matters to you. Okay. And then comes the even more difficult part, which is making those choices that will help you live the way you want to live. Okay. And sometimes they are very difficult choices. A friend once told me that for every decision you make, there is a trade-off. Okay. Nothing comes without cost. So, for instance, when I decided to have my baby, I alienated a lot of people who were like, you know, this is not the right thing for you to do. But the trade-off I made to have my child was, cutting out those people who were not on board with the plan. Okay. It's a different story that now 5 years later, those same people come back and tell me, wow, you were so brave and you did such amazing thing. But that time they were not on board, right? So the cost is that. So every decision will have a cost associated to it. And that's a choice you have to make that, am I willing to pay that cost to do what I really want to do in life? Or do I not? And either of those choices is fine as long as it's your choice. Okay. So we'll cover that one in first figuring out, and I hate the word balance, so I'll never use the word balance anywhere because I was talking to someone the other day. Balance feels like walking a tightrope. Okay, you take one wrong step and you fall down. But harmony is when things just sort of smoothly merge into each other, right? So we're going to figure out the harmony of the multiple roles that we play, keeping guilt out of the equation, right? Then we are also going to make a list of emotional labor that we do, right? And then how do we lessen that load so we have more time and space and energy for ourselves? And that's where setting sort of boundaries comes in. Then we talk about the resilience part of it, right? The bouncing back, because nobody's life is perfect. Nobody's life is going to be like, oh, there are no setbacks. Everybody deals with some shit or the other. So, and a lot of you talked about, right? Financial resilience. How do you build that, right? Do you know where your money is coming from, how it's multiplying, where it's going, right? And now the world is changing so fast. If you're in a career stream, what is that with AI? What's going to happen after 5 years, right? So how do you future-proof your life from a financial career stability perspective? And then also the success part that I talk about, right? And happiness. For me, it will always be peace and fulfillment, but you know, um, what is it that makes you happy, right? What is it that brings a smile to your face? So we'll figure that out. And also, how is it different? Like, what does it take to build long-term happiness? Not just those pleasure, right? You bought something new. Like a lot of people succumb to retail therapy for, okay, let me buy. My son is like, I'm a 6 year old. It's like, he's feeling sad. I want to go buy a chocolate. I'm like, no, you're not doing that. But yeah, so how do you figure out those that whether you're chasing that short-term gratification, or are you going after long-term happiness, and what does that mean for you? And of course, self-talk, very, very important, right? This whole I'm not enough narrative, how do you shut it in a box and throw the key? Okay. And finally, small changes, because we can't change ourselves overnight. It's very, very difficult. Okay. So it's not going to happen in 1 week, 2 week, even 8 weeks, right? This is just the toolkit. You'll have to use it beyond that, day in and day out, every day, to create these small changes that add up over time, right? So we'll do these micro changes, and how do you work through that? And obviously the support network, hopefully the community will grow by itself, and we find our accountability and our empowerment partners right here in women who can support us in what we want to do, right? And I'll give you a very, very good example of something that happened yesterday. So I was at this women's group meeting. Okay, so I have a group of these 7 women, and we meet every month. And the objective is this, right? To support each other through our career and financial goals, right? Um, and that network is so powerful. You just put a wish out on the table, and it just things align. Okay. So someone said that I'm looking for an opportunity to find clients in the US. 10 referrals come in. Okay. Someone says, I want to find more friends for my kid. Everybody's like, let's do a play date. Okay. So you put out a problem and solutions comes in. And that's like a very, very powerful support network, right? And finally, it's a body and mind alignment, because your health, your well-being, your, mental calmness is also very important. So we end the module with that. So here's the way it's going to be delivered. So there'll be 8 modules. I will deliver it online over 8 weeks, starting January. I'll fix the date very soon, and I'll let you know. There will be one session a week, which will be a 2 hour session, almost like 1 to 2 hour, depending on how the engagement flows. So I will be taking this personally. And for every module, you will get detailed worksheets and guidebooks, which you need to finish before you come for the next module. Okay. And the idea is to, again, introspect, plan, and action. Because if we only think and not do, then nothing moves, right? So those templates will sort of help you progress forward. You'll also get follow-up emails after every session to sum up, the key concepts and to share resources. And you'll, of course, have lifetime access to all content. Now, because I'm doing it myself, the cost is 40,000 plus 18% GST. But in this, what you're also getting is all these bonuses. So I've created all this content over the last months. So there'll be guided visualizations, which will help you for each module, that will help you figure out what you want to do. There will be habit trackers, micro dream planners, to make sure that whatever changes that you've decided to do will stick. I will also do one masterclass after the 8 weeks to figure out how do you sustain this transformation beyond the 8 weeks, right? It's not just, oh, I did 8 weeks and now I'm done. It has to continue, right? So how do we do that? I'll also give you a journaling bundle. It's really, really important to reflect what is going on with you and how do you grow beyond wherever you are right now. I'll give you self-care toolkits that prioritize your well-being. I've also written an ebook. It has both, concepts plus exercises about the power of small changes to help you incorporate those changes in your everyday life. You also, of course, get a WhatsApp community, which is hopefully like this my 7-member group. Hopefully, it grows into a network like that, right? And you put a wish out there, and there are people who are there to support you, right? And I'm also planning to do meetups and events as we grow, or as I move between cities, and I would send out exclusive events to this group to do that. Okay. Um, and this is the offer for today. So while the program cost is around 65,000 plus tax, today you get it for 9,999, all inclusive, no extra tax if you sign up scanning this QR code. So that's the program, and that's my pitch. And if you feel that this will add value to your life, I'm looking forward to seeing you in January for the next 8 weeks. But I'll keep this on for a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. You can raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or you can put them in the chat window. So whatever works for you, I'm happy to answer accordingly. Let me just quickly go through the chat. Oh, there's someone from Rajasthan. I'm also from Rajasthan, Jaipur. Thanks, Aditi. Thanks, Noor. I'm glad you found value here. Awesome. No questions? Anything about the program also you want to know? Great. Anything that you want to discuss from, the beliefs, concepts, or anything that you want to share, I'm happy to answer. I will mute you 1 second. Um,
Hi.
hey.
Okay, so my question is that while we start making changes, people around us are extremely comfortable with how things are, right? Like, how do you put that in place, or how do you start where, like, they also start accepting that you are making changes? Because most people will not want that to happen, right? Comfort. So how do you start doing that?
I have a counter question to that. Why is their acceptance so important?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I have a counter question to that. Why is their acceptance so important?
Uh, okay, I don't know the answer to that.
Because see, here's what I have learned, okay, through all these experiences, that people who really care about you, people who really love you, will come around, okay, because they see that what you're doing is best for you. Because initially, also, if those people are saying no, or if they're resisting, that resistance is coming from a place of love because they want the best for you. And that is the only best that they can picture, right? That, for example, if my mother freaked out that why are you quitting your job and starting a business? Where will you find the money? It was coming from a place of I want the best for my child, right? Once she saw that my business is working, that resistance went away, right? And now she proudly tells people that my daughter runs a business. And those who are saying no because of other reasons, because they don't want you to succeed, because they're envious, because they don't have your best interests at heart, are not the people you want in your life anyway, right? And sometimes those people can be in a very close circle also, but they are not. They're not the people that you want to hang around with because they're only going to pull you back. And I don't know how many of you saw that on Instagram reel that's been doing rounds, or it's just me, that there is a static top, like the spinning top. It's just sitting on a table, and you introduce five spinning tops around it, and slowly they hit the center, the static top, and it also starts spinning, right? And the message was that the kind of people you surround yourself with determines your growth, your progress, your success. Okay. So if there are people who are not accepting changes that you are making, you have to question why. Where is that resistance coming from? Why is their acceptance so important to me? And is it really like necessary to agree to it right now? Or can I wait and watch and see, or show them also that how it's best for me? Okay. And then are they coming around or not? If they're not coming around, say bye bye and find new people. There are like 8 billion people on this planet. I'm sure you will find more. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions? Any thoughts? I know we're a bit over time and everybody's tired. So let's close this session today. And like I said, I'll also send you a recording in case you missed something. You can listen to it, and hopefully I will see some of you in January. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for sharing, and making it an interactive session. Um, I always like it when people converse. So super. Thank you so much. And have a good night. Bye-bye. Bye.